Ontarians can now make legal online gambling bets with private companies. The province is the first jurisdiction in Canada to allow this under what is being called an iGaming market. The CBC's Scott Peterson has more. As of today, Ontario residents can now make bets with private online companies, and this could include any type of bet from casino games, sport events, online gambling, using online websites and smartphone applications run by these private for-profit companies. And this is the first jurisdiction in Canada to use private companies, allowing them to have Canadians bet on them. Now, as of Friday, there was 25 registered private companies. Not all of them are expected to be up and running today, perhaps anywhere between 12 and 15 out there. Now, Ontarians had been able to bet online since about August, but that was done through the Ontario Lottery and Gaming Commission and using foreign websites. So this will be the first time that Ontarians will be able to use this sort of a homegrown private websites, if you will. Now, iGaming will be run through the Ontario government, through the Ontario Gaming Commission of Ontario. There is some concern about a loss of revenue for the Ontario government. For example, bricks and mortars casinos are taxed at about a 55% tax rate versus these new private companies now only going to be taxed at a 20%. So there's some estimates that the Ontario government is set to lose about $550 million per year on lost revenue. But nonetheless, anyone in Ontario over the age of 19 today can start betting on these private sites.
Tonight's best bets in last minute of play. As mentioned, the Preds host Montreal on TSN2. The Habs' season worst 5-game winless drought is tied with the Pens for the worst active streak in the league. They've allowed 16 goals in the last 2 losses alone. But the over might be the play, but the odds makers know that, so you'll need 7 goals to hit on the over. The Jets host the Flames after a slow start to the season. Kyle Connor, 14 goals, 31 points in his last 23 games. Connor is plus 166 to bury one in tonight's game. The Kraken visit the Oilers. Connor McDavid's got 498 assists in 525 career games. He can become just the 5th player in NHL history to reach 500 helpers within their first 550 games. The others to do it, Wayne Gretzky, Mario Lemieux, Peter Stastny, and Bobby Orr. Dave plus 158 to get 2 assists tonight. The Canucks host the Isles. Matt Barzal is on a 3-game goal-scoring streak and has recorded at least a point in each of the 7 games he's played against Vancouver in his career, plus 260 to score tonight.
desert and making it to the NHL? What are the odds? Defy the odds. Make your own path. Bet on yourself. Defy the odds. Make your own path. Bet on yourself. Defy the odds. Make your own path. Bet on yourself.
You got a Thursday nighter that was meant for betting. You went from Mahomes and Herbert to Jacoby Brissett versus Mitch Trubisky. Woof! Yeah, that could not get much worse. That's why you gotta go out there, throw a little bet. You put down a $10 same game parlay. And if you lose, you get full forgiveness. So that's a good little thing that's going on. I'll tell you mine a little bit later on.
sportsbook app is firing on all cylinders. Bet same game parlays where you can combine different bets from the same game for more action, like player props, puck lines, total goals, and more. And don't forget, our award-winning customer service. Oh. That's a tough shift.
Seriously, who would have thought her NBA Live same-game parlay would hit with 2 minutes to go?
Fake, you know sports?
You got any picks for tonight?
Taking the Raps to cover.
Really? Okay, well, if you're right about that bet, I'll post for an...
Sports, play on PointsBet. Is it cold in here?
Stay focused. Stay motivated. But most of all, stay cool. Know your limits. Coolbet helps you control your gaming experience.
Today on the Inside Edge, on the day before a big matchup between Winnipeg and Toronto, I thought we'd take a look at their chances to not only make the playoffs, which they're both going to do, but to win the Stanley Cup. Right now, Toronto has the fifth shortest odds to win the Cup, plus 950, reflective of the good team that they have and the playoff success that they eventually should be able to achieve. Winnipeg, on the other hand, plus 3,000, which seems pretty low for a team that is battling to lead the division, may have home ice through the first 3 rounds of the playoffs if they're able to get there. So which team has a better chance to win a Stanley Cup? Where is their value given the line being where it is? Well, you look at the teams, of course, and you look at all the underlying numbers, Toronto versus Winnipeg, whether it's goals for, expected goals for, Corsi, scoring chances, they all do favor Toronto slightly, leading you to believe that Toronto probably is a slightly better team than Winnipeg. But the one number that is decidedly in Winnipeg's favor, save percentage. Led by Connor Hellebuck, Winnipeg has the 4th best all-situation save percentage in the entire NHL. Given the importance of the position in the regular season, but maybe more importantly in the playoffs, having a great goaltender that you can trust, which Winnipeg does, which Toronto might not have to the same degree, would be a significant advantage Winnipeg. So you look at the teams, maybe Toronto a slightly better team, Winnipeg with slightly better goaltending, almost a wash. Well, first round, probably going to play Tampa. That's a very difficult matchup. If they get that, then they have to play the Stanley Cup favorite, Boston, very likely in the second round. And that's just to get to the conference final. That is a very hard path to go through, given the strength of the Atlantic Division. If you look at Winnipeg, they might be first. They might play Calgary, Edmonton, could be Nashville. Who knows what that first round matchup? Maybe the second round, if they win that, it could be Dallas. It could be at home. Tough teams, good teams for sure, but not quite what Toronto would have to go through. So if you're asking me, which team is more likely to win the Stanley Cup? Forget about the odds, just look at the teams and the path. It's Winnipeg because the path is so much easier. Then when you factor in you get paid plus 3,000 on Winnipeg versus just plus 950. If you're going to make a future on one of these two teams to win the Cup, I think the better play is to think about Winnipeg getting through the Central, led by Connor Hellebuck, and going on a deep run and having a chance to win a Stanley Cup.
Still got conference championship football this weekend.
Let's have a look at Patrick Mahomes walking into the press conference and see if there is indeed any sort of limp from the high ankle sprain.
How healthy will he be come game time? Like, can they win it all with Mahomes hobbling? Even though he didn't look like he was hobbling that much there.
If he's hobbled, Joe Burrow said this on Monday, is the best quarterback in that game. If he's not hobbled, Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in that game. Now, you obviously can win and or lose, even with the best quarterback in the game.
And this leads me to a wonderful topic. The fact that the Chiefs started out the week as favorites in this game. And now, having seen this, do you think the Bengals are now favorites because of the injury? But having seen the video, do you think that changes things in Vegas?
The Vegas thing is irrelevant, and I know that there are people who think it's relevant based on what we're seeing from Bet Rivers. All that means is that there is a bunch of people who bet on the Bengals. Now, whether you think that's because they thought that Mahomes wouldn't be 100% or not, it's not the sharps. It's not. I mean, some of it is sharp money.
Public, yeah. 90%, I think, was on the Bengals
early, and that's why the line
24 hours. Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with his health.
No.
They're trying to draw as much money on both sides, so they're trying to give you enough incentive to bet. And I figured that since Bet Rivers comes to us for these kind of things, I might as well let the public know why that line moves like that. Now, a bunch of people are going to bet on Patrick Mahomes now because he looked pretty good in the video that we showed.
That's what you thought too, right?
But
I'm not crazy. Like, he didn't look like he was hobbling really at all.
Yeah, but
limited video, of course.
And I don't know if you read this off the prompter, but he was a full participant in practice today. Did you mention that?
I don't think so.
Full participant in practice today. Yeah. That part to me is very significant moving forward, but we'll have to see. Obviously, he's not 100%. There's no way he's 100%. But 90% of Mahomes is better than a lot of quarterbacks in the National Football League. Joe Burrow
everything I will ever need to bet in play. I can bet on over 780,000 different games every year. Hold up. The latest live odds are on your screen now. Want to make a bet while the game's still being played? Download the app and see for yourself why Bet365 is the world's favorite sportsbook.
Swept their regular season series against the Giants. They're expected to win again tonight, favored by more than a touchdown. Chezzy, what do you have your eye on for your FanDuel
Well, a couple quarterbacks, yeah, and it's look, I'm gonna roll with Jalen Hurts, rushing yards over. I'm gonna fade Daniel Jones because he's playing against a much better defense than the Eagles than he saw last week in Minnesota. The thing about Jalen Hurts total, when I made this play, I was under the assumption that he was healthier than I'm feeling he is now. Words today and yesterday out of Philly, and folks are saying he's pretty beat up. So tread lightly with the Jalen Hurts. If you replace that one with something else, I wouldn't be mad at you. If you played it, I wouldn't be mad at you. But yeah, that's what I think about that. Dallas Goedert, I think that Jalen goes through a lot of success. You saw last week the Vikings had struggled to cover tight end, so that's my take there. Like I said, Daniel Jones under just Phillies. Doesn't have to play too high. Safeties are more men committed to the box. They're bigger, they're faster than the Vikings are. Last week defensively, I think they shut down Daniel Jones, or at least doesn't go for as much as he did last week.
All right, well, the Eagles are looking to advance to the NFC title game for the first time since 2017. Let's recap your plays. Chezzy, you like Daniel Jones under his rushing total and Jalen Hurts over his rushing number. You also like Dallas Goedert to find the end zone. You can find this same game parlay right now on the FanDuel app at almost 8-1 odds.
Full transparency, this isn't my favorite one of the year. So I got some beauties, but tread lightly on this one. Check out social, maybe we have something better for you later on.
All right, the Giants have covered 10 straight games on short rest, looking to extend that streak tonight.
here, and so is the Bet Rivers Sportsbook app.
That's right, Dan. You can bet same-game parlays.
Where you combine different bets from the same game for even more action.
Plus, don't forget live player props and our award-winning customer service.
It's as fun and easy as me hitting this shot. Or this shot. Okay, I'm going home.
That's it?
Bet Rivers Sportsbook app and basketball. It's a whole new game.
minus 162, hosting the Rangers. New York has won 7 of the last 9 meetings, including a 3-1 win last month. Mika Zibanejad has 7 career goals on 17 shots on Ilya Samsonov. He's plus 172 to score tonight. The Sens are also favorite. They host the Islanders and are minus 126. New York has won 10 of the last 11 meetings. Ottawa's last home win over the Islanders was back in 2017. Edmonton is the biggest favorite on the board at minus 400, hosting the last place Blue Jackets. It's the shortest odds the Oilers have had all season. Connor McDavid is minus 190 to record 2 or more points tonight. Vancouver is one of 4 teams that the Kraken have yet to beat in their short time in the NHL. The Canucks have won all 6 meetings. Vancouver is plus 152, looking to stay undefeated in the Rick Tocchet era.
We're out.
Want to bet I can get to the store and back before halftime?
Think you know what way it's gonna go? Make your bet at Sports Interaction.
appreciate this. You want one of these?
I'm good, KG.
You want your ginger shot?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
I need some positivity today. I'm trying to cover this spread, and your vibe is off, G.
What's wrong with my vibe?
We got to get you one of these, G. Just got oranges, ginger, bit of carrots.
I don't know.
Get to sip some of this positivity in your life, and boom! You see that? Spread's covered. Thank you, Mama. In a minute, G. Ha ha!
Can't wait for Super Bowl 57. It's been a profitable run in the playoffs, so let's finish strong. Everything's lined up well for the Eagles. They haven't played a road game since Christmas Eve, and they are definitely the healthier team heading into the Super Bowl. While a hobbled Patrick Mahomes was able to squeak by the Bengals, aided by a few questionable calls, the Eagles have been in cruise control against the Giants and a Niners team playing with a quarterback who couldn't throw. Philly didn't play well in that game and still managed to win at 31-7. They are loaded everywhere, and you should see a much better Jalen Hurts with 2 weeks to rest the shoulder, especially against the defense not as good as San Francisco. Give me the Eagles money line at a short price. Now listen, Mahomes is tougher than a $3 steak. We know that. But after watching McCole Hardman, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Kadarius Toney all go down with injuries in the championship game, what weapons other than Travis Kelce can he really be able to rely on in the Super Bowl? His passing total is 290.5. I don't see him being able to go over that, especially with his beat-up group going against James Bradbury and Darius Big Play Slay. They were the top-ranked pass defense all season, including playoffs. Only once did a QB throw for over 290 yards against them. With all the Chiefs' injuries, I am going to look at Travis Kelce to be the one guy for Mahomes in the red zone. So give me Kelce to score a touchdown, as he has in the previous 2 games for the Chiefs. Enjoy the game.
At North Star Bets, it's always game time.
All the sports, all the action, all the insights, all in one place. Get into the action at North Star Bet Sportsbook and Casino. That's a win.
Every hockey fan loves the one-timers from the blue line. Except goalies, but we do love the effortless toe drags, the crazy kick saves, and this season, DraftKings Sportsbook is giving you a reason to love them even more. There's so many ways to get closer to the game, like same-game parlays, puck lines, money lines, and more. And you can do it anytime, anywhere in Ontario. Scan the QR code to download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and get in on the action with an official sports betting partner of the NHL.
Closed captioning of this broadcast is powered by FanDuel, home of the first to five.
lots of ways to bet with BetRivers Casino and Sportsbook app, but there's only one way to play, responsibly. That's why we developed responsible gaming tools that can help you take charge of the way you play. Tools like time limits, deposit limits, wager limits, and even cooling off periods. They're here if you need them, because we're here for you. So, bet smart, bet fun, bet Rivers. The BetRivers Casino and Sportsbook app's responsible gaming tools. It's a whole new way to manage your game.
Keep shooting pucks on net, as Ken Reed likes to say. Time for the SN Bets Big Board presented by Bet365. Sean Reynolds, he's ringside tonight in the booth. It's John Bartlett with Jamal Mayers. So the Wild have been playing well. The Winnipeg Jets, as we've mentioned, Jamal, just 2 wins in their last 10. In your mind, what's the reason for their struggles?
Well, the defensive lapses have really been evident, and in the last 10 games, they haven't been playing the way they've played all season long, and it's not all on Hellebuyck. They haven't been defending the inner slot. They've been giving up way too many quality chances. In fact, in the last 5 games, their goals against is 4.6. You want to point to Hellebuyck? It's really not all on him. They've got to play better in front of him in order for them to keep climbing in the standings and get their game back in order, because right now, it's really not good enough the way they've been playing defensively.
And same with the power play. Where do you want to see improvements there?
Yeah, the power play really has struggled, and for me, it's a lack of urgency and a lack of execution that comes to the forefront, and the way that they're just lackadaisical at getting pucks to the net. The execution isn't there because they're not intentional about getting pucks to the net off the start of the power play. At the end of the day, you don't want to handcuff your offensive players. You want them to be able to ad lib, but they do have to run set plays offensively on the power play so that there is a sense of predictability for each other. Predictability, and then follows in line with that, is that execution. You don't have either of them, you're going to give up opportunities for the opposition shorthanded.
Okay, at the other end of the ice, we're going to see Kirill Kaprizov. Is it possible that he's still somehow underrated in this league?
He is, and he's a small guy, but we've been talking about it all season long. He produces offensively because he combines his grit with his skill. He's unafraid to go to those tough areas. He has the finishing ability around the net to score goals when he gets his nose dirty. He's unafraid to go to those areas to score those greasy goals. And if he has to get bumped and knocked over in the process, he's willing to do that. No better evidence of that when Dean Evison talks about his start forward. He loves and raves about his ability to go to the front of the net and lead by example.
He's third in points per game amongst active players, behind only Connor McDavid and Sidney Crosby. So yeah, I would say that's underrated. Have a great call tonight, Jamal. Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
That's the SN Bets Big Board, presented by Bet365. Check out the Bet365 app for the latest odds.
You want to build your own bet? Then you need to try Same Game Parlay from Bet365. Who? When? What? How many? It's totally up to you. It's your bet. You decide. Download the app and see for yourself why Bet365 is the world's favorite sportsbook.
In Toronto, there's no getting around it, with sports betting ads now showing up on highway billboards and on public transit. Even those with no interest in gambling are constantly reminded it's here.
The province lists more than 20 gaming sites already approved, with more expected as Ontario embraces online gambling.
Jeff, you're a sports betting journalist covering everything from company earnings to betting trends to government legislation. First week of April, Ontario is set to welcome more competitors when it comes to single game sports betting. When we take a look at the US as a template, what did they get right? What can we learn from them?
We have been able to watch that experiment play out in the US since 2018, when there was a Supreme Court decision that really unlocked the legal sports betting market down there. So now we've seen 30 states plus the District of Columbia at this point offering some kind of legal sports betting. And so what's happened there with that experience in the US has, Ontario regulators, federal lawmakers, they've been able to watch that. And the other part of it too is what's happened in the US has really affected the sports industry more broadly, because you had leagues who earlier on, in years past had been opponents to a broader legalization of sports betting, really getting on board with it. And that provided a bit of momentum to the process in Canada as well, to now see these, past opponents getting on board with that process and putting some wind in the sails of that single game sports betting legalization effort.
When you take a look at the bigger picture, the numbers on a bigger scale, how big of a business is this in Canada? What does it mean for Ontario, and I guess ultimately as a revenue stream for the government?
Right, so we've had a few estimates that have been bandied about as this process has gone on. You have the Canadian Gaming Association, which has said for some time that $14 billion is being wagered by Canadians with either gray market or black market websites and bookmakers. So this would be anything from, organized crime to a website that's regulated offshore, everything in between, that sort of activity. So that's one of the estimates that they have. Ontario has also said that they see Ontarians spending around $1 billion a year on online gambling, and about 70% of that going to on sites that aren't regulated in Ontario, that it might be based offshore, might be based somewhere else. So that's kind of like the ballpark estimates we have right now to work with. As for what it's going to provide to the province, we'll have to wait and see. Right now, we're still seeing the number of companies coming into the market that are expecting to participate in the market, and we've got more than a dozen at this point that have been approved by the regulator. We're expecting to see more of them. So depending on how successful they are, that would translate into success for the province. The tax rate is going to be, or not even the tax rate, just the split that the province will see, that it has been reported to be around 20%. So depending on how much action those books take, that will really translate to how much the province can take away from it too.
Lastly, what are the limits to betting? What systems are in place so you don't bet the farm?
Don't bet the farm. Do not bet the farm at all. That is one thing that is really going to have to be impressed on people as this Ontario market opens up, because there's just going to be a much more widespread availability of online gambling. And people should really keep in mind that you should set budgets for yourself, ensure that you're not gambling beyond their means. And it's also going to be incumbent on the operators to ensure they have responsible gambling policies in place, that they're keeping an eye on their customers, and that those customers aren't overextending themselves or not betting so brazenly that it's really raising red flags. And so there will be opportunities for Ontarians to set limits for their own betting through these sites, and that is something that they should really keep in mind going forward, because betting is it's betting. It's not a sure thing. You should always remember to really practice responsible gambling when you can, and ensuring that if you're going to lose money, you're losing something that is not going to have a huge impact on your life.